Hi, welcome to Tarot Tuesday. Today I'm teaching you how to read tarot intuitively because let's be real, memorizing 78 card definitions isn't easy for everyone. Not to mention if you read them in reverse. That's a lot. But memorizing the traditional definitions of any cards isn't even necessary. Tarot is a visual language. The meaning is in the image. And as they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And those words, it depends on the situation and the reader. So an owl might mean wisdom to one reader, but to somebody else, it might mean being able to see in the dark, seeing the truth through illusions. And this is where people get stuck. Well, then how do I know if I'm reading it the right way? Well, by trusting your intuition and your spirit team. They'll use symbols that make sense to you. And if they want you to get a different message, they'll send you a different image or a different card. So, for example, say your guides want you to know, or the person that you're reading for, that it's time to learn something new. Maybe it's to take a course or learn a new skill, get a certificate in something. For one person, that might show up as an apple, like the classic giving an apple to the teacher, a classroom learning, or the apple seeds symbolizing the seeds of knowledge. For somebody else, spirit might show them a book, which reminds them of a textbook and how much they hated reading in college or whatever. And then, it means learning and studying. So both images point to the same message, learning something new. But spirit chooses the symbol based on what you understand the image to mean, how it's defined by you. It's personalized. Now, the easiest way to trust your intuition is to not overthink it. And I know, easier said than done. But it's your first instinct. When they say trust your gut, especially when you're taking a test and don't second guess yourself, it's whatever pops into your head within the first 4 seconds. That's your intuitive hit. Anything after 4 seconds is just your brain overthinking and analyzing, second guessing yourself, that self doubt that comes in. So don't give it the time. Keep it simple. First 4 seconds, what's the first image, word, feeling? That's your intuitive message. So now the fun part. Let's practice. I'm going to put a card on the screen, and you get 4 seconds. You need to figure out what it means to you. What image, thought, memory, what feeling, just what does it mean to you? So let's go. Done. Okay, so what did you come up with? You probably had totally different answers than the textbook definition of this tarot card, especially if you're not even familiar with tarot, and that's totally fine. So this card is actually the King of Spikes, which in traditional tarot is the King of Swords. This means logic, reasoning, using your head over your heart, clear thinking, strategy, right? All things mental. Swords. But the image on this deck is a vampire. Now, vampires open the door to a ton of different intuitive meanings. So what can the vampire mean? Well, traditionally, we're thinking energy vampire, right? Who or what is draining your life force? Is there an energy vampire in your life? A person, a job? Is it time for boundaries or time for changing jobs? What is draining you? Maybe you're just spending too much time, on social media or, binging shows, and that's actually draining you because you're not accomplishing what you truly, want to do. So those could be your energy vampires. Vampires also can live forever unless, somebody stakes them. So it could mean you have time. You have all the time you need. Don't rush, slow down. You've got that longevity. Could also be about them living so long that it's about leaving a legacy, right? After 100 years, what's left of the memory of you? So what is the legacy you're leaving behind for other people? This could be like creating something that actually gets left behind, like a book, that people then can read 100 years later. It could be just the memory of what you did, how you showed up to your family, so your great grandchildren still talk about you. It could be a legacy thing. Charming. Vampires can be very charismatic, right? They can talk you into letting them suck your blood. It's very charismatic. Very cult leader too. But anyways, so maybe you need to be persuasive and charming instead of forceful. If you're trying to make a sale, negotiate, use your charm instead of the aggression to get what you're looking for. The other thing about vampires is that they don't have a heartbeat. They don't have a heart. They have no empathy. So it's about the lack of emotion. This could just mean that you're being too emotional. So you're taking things personally that maybe have nothing to do with you. Maybe, your boss took it out on you, but they were having a bad day, but it wasn't about you. So instead of responding emotionally and yelling at your boss and potentially getting fired, you look at it more logically, strategically, take the emotion out of it. So, I mean, one image, vampire, and all those different potential, messages that can come from that have nothing to do with the actual traditional card being the King of Swords, or in this deck, King of Spikes. So, what did you get? How do you know which one's correct? Well, it's the one that showed up for you first within the first 4 seconds. And you maybe even have come up with, vampire movies, actors, the character, how it made you feel. And that would be your message. If you're thinking of like a vampire movie and going, wow, I really like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She was such a badass female and confident. And maybe that's what your guides are telling you they want you to feel. So again, trust whatever came through. You do not need to memorize every meaning of every card. But if you want to learn tarot and you would like some support with that, then I suggest using a deck that has the keywords written on it. It helps you with a foundation, so you're not as overwhelmed by all the different, images and what they potentially could mean. I personally love using Angel Wisdom Tarot by Radleigh Valentine. It's gentle imagery. There's no scary cards, the death, the tower, the devil. None of that is there. The meaning is still there, and it's written on the bottom of the card, so it's really beginner friendly. Your intuition knows exactly what the message is. Your spirit team knows exactly how to speak your language, not someone else's. So it's okay if it doesn't match what someone else says it's supposed to mean. Trust that. And if you want a personal tarot reading to get insight into what your guides are trying to tell you, then check out the link in the description and book a session. I'd be happy to help.